Uh, I actually, I'm gonna. I guess the legal argument at this point is that there is a legal argument that they raised and officially declared a legal argument. Now, I'm not. There are people in civil disputes all the time, and they hire a lawyer, and the lawyer goes into court. But I don't think anyone's actually challenged the what is and what isn't a legal dispute. I don't think anyone, even in these big business claims like Company A and Company B, they just claim whether you owe money or whether you don't owe money. But I don't actually ever think anyone's challenged who he even is claiming or who's even claiming and who isn't claiming, right? If you're at work and you just don't get paid, right, then someone has to realize that and, voice. If you say, just a minute, I haven't been paid. Now, if you don't say anything and you just weren't paid and you carry on and you just, your employer just carries on as if nothing's happening, he hasn't made a claim. He hasn't even voiced a claim or entered a dispute or raised a problem. There's no problem, right? Now, if you didn't turn up for work and, one day and then you went in and then, you didn't pay you for that day, then he by not paying you, he is claiming that you didn't work one day, right? And if you say, what's going on, he'll say, well, you didn't work, so I claim that, I'm not owing you that money, right? Now, he's not going to, if he doesn't give you the money, he's not going to go to court if you don't do anything. So, but really, dynamically, if you don't turn up, by not paying you, he is claiming that you didn't work that day, right? He's indirectly claiming it, even if he doesn't make a legal claim. Because now, if he just doesn't pay you and either it's an error or a mistake or he doesn't know or something like that, and then you just don't get paid, then as soon as you open your mouth and you say, why didn't I get paid? You are making a claim. You are claiming that you haven't got paid when you should have done. You are a claimant at the first instance, right? Now, the civil courts say in the civil procedure rules that, make sure that the claimants attempt to resolve matters out of court, make all efforts to resolve matters out of court. Now, the problem is, right, what I've noticed is this. In the in the small claims court and the online civil courts, it's always about money. They're making it about money. Oh, someone owes you a certain amount of money. It doesn't look like online on the small claims court. They don't present it as a court to just get a judgment or an order like this is this or that is that. Like they've got ccb.gov, copyright claims court in America. It's all about money. But what if the important thing is not about money? What if the important thing is like, YouTube claim, does YouTube have the right to do this or do that, take a channel down or not? Does 38 Degrees have a right to do this or that? You aren't really owed any money. Or, should the newspaper publish this advert? Or you're wanting a judgment on a point of law or a fact. It's not over money. But the thing with the small claims court online is they're presenting and framing it all that it's all about money. Someone owes you a bit of money or someone owes you a lot of money, and the more money they owe you, the more money you pay the court, and then they make massive money out of it as well. The court take a massive percentage out of it. Really, you're being denied access to get just a decision or a judgment on something. Now, I know you probably can use the online court to get a judgment as part of a case, but what I'm saying is they're presenting or framing it to be all about money. This is like when things go missing in Royal Mail. They're not trying to find the item. They're not trying to find what happened to it. Where did it go? They don't tell the police. All they do is pay you a bit of money and pay you off. So they're able to make items vanish and disappear and just sell you with money, but you might want the item, but you never get an investigation. So it's like taking candy from a baby, right? And what we're in desperate need of now is decisions over matters. This company, 38 Degrees, must put my video back up. YouTube must put my videos back up. Parliament Petitions Committee, there's no 6 month limit on petitions. It doesn't exist. Petitions Committee should publish this petition. The newspaper should. This company, I don't have to pay tax to this company on my stickers because they're political material. You want a decision, I am right. Not, someone paid money. And they framed it all to be about money. But what they're doing is they're taking power. On YouTube, it might not be about, well, they took Russell Brand's money off him, but for anyone else, you're not bothered about the money. It's all about, hey, you took my videos down, why are you doing that? So all these big companies are making these power moves. And it's all through policy, apparently not through law. So they're basically bossing us. It's all about being bossed. That's what it's all about, being bossed. Who's right and who's wrong, right? And who is to do this and who is to do that. But in the courts, they're trying to make it all about money. And the more money you're claiming. Now, when BlackRock Vanguard own most of the businesses and the shares, and they're pulling the strings, even if you've got different company owners, usually most disputes are about money in court, so they can be paid off. If you can't buy them, if you can't buy a person or buy them out, take over the company, when they're pulling all the strings and making all the decisions, you own all the companies, and a couple of people left over in between, they just get paid, pay them off. It's all about the money, really. But really, it's not about money. It's actually about who makes decisions and who says what is to be done and what not is to be done. Like when we had due these referendums now from Welsh Government and from Secretary of State, we've collected all these signatures. We're due referendums on the matter, but we're having to save up £60,000 for Stonehenge Tunnel when it's cheaper to have a referendum. They don't want us to be able to say, this is true. We say this is true. I'm right. And this is how they're stealing the power from us. This is how they're doing it. Now, going back to the back to the civil claim model again, right? So, if you fall over at work and hurt yourself, you are the claimant. I hurt myself and, I want some money from the employer. You are the claimant and you're going to go to court, right? Now, if you break something at work, if you break, a fire extinguisher and your boss wants money and you won't give it, he claims that you broke his fire extinguisher, and to get the money, to force the money, he takes you to court. He's a claimant, right? If you've got a dispute over your wages, it depends. Did you do something wrong? Therefore, your boss is claiming that you did something wrong. Now, even if you did something wrong, the ironic thing is, if your boss has a reason for not paying you, he really is a claimant. Yet, to get the money off him, you have to, if he isn't going to go to court, why would he need to go to court if he's just not going to give you the money? He's got the money, right? You want to get the money off him, you go to court. It's a civil dispute between the plaintiff, a grievance to be settled by the courts, a grievance. Really, we're meant to have a jury in civil courts. Now, the problem is, right, some people are claimant verbally and situationally the claimant, but they're in a situation where they have the leverage, or they have the possession, or they have the enforcement. Might not be legal enforcement, but what I'm saying is they have a physical advantage, privilege. They're privileged to have possession of the object of a dispute. Now, if you've got the privilege of having possession of the object of a dispute, you don't need to go to court because you've got the object, right? And if, now, if someone wants to take the object off you and you won't give it over and they can't get it off you, then they will take to court to win, to get enforcement to take it. So it's all about, there's a dynamic involved of power in this, who's got something and who hasn't. Now, if you're splitting up with your wife and you're getting annulled, then you have to have a settlement because you're not a legal entity anymore and it has to be settled, If you die and you've got a will, the will's a legal obligation for all other people. It's a law precedent that has to be followed, even if you're not there. The plaintiff isn't even, you're not even there anymore. You don't exist. There's only law that exists, and that law is to be done. Have you ever seen that Back to the Future film? When he sends him a letter, but he goes back in time and then he sends a letter, and like that Western Union deliver it. But it was, they had to deliver it at a certain time on a certain date. They're fulfilling an order. It's not illegal. Well, it's a legally binding order because it was a trade agreement. This is the thing. He paid for a service, and they're obligated to fulfill that service or delivery, right? And they do. But the person who bought it wasn't even existing anymore. It was purely, well, that's a contract. I guess YouTube is saying, you broke our policy, so we're taking your video. But the thing is, they are the claimant. The thing with YouTube is that they are raising and triggering and filing and registering a claim through their system against you, right? So they have actually recorded, voiced, and initiated claim, and even asked you to submit an appeal, and even give evidence and writ, which can be used in evidence. But they take the video off you, and if that's your last copy of the video, you don't even have the video. But they've actually made a claim against you in writing, so they have to be the claimant. They must be. They must be the claimant because they've declared it and they've took action. But the evidence that you would need to prove if you just suddenly decided to be a claimant, that you haven't even got the evidence. Because the thing that's in dispute is the evidence, and they've got it. But they're not using that evidence to prove that they've got a right to seize the thing. What's happening, right, is we've got these corporate entities, and it's Rishi Sunak, and it's David Cameron, and it's selling the public services off, and it's Tony Blair, like him or love him, don't care what he's done for working class, and Nick Clegg, and they've got these, the Mark Zuckerberg, and what they've done is they've hijacked democracy with a corporate takeover. It's like the Roman army taking over the Celt. They got rid of the government of the Druids and the religion. I've just seen Andrew Bridgen in Parliament with Rishi Sunak, and he put across some very clear, clarified words that when John Campbell, I don't even think John Campbell fully registered them, but they're very clever because what actually Andrew Bridgen does in Parliament is he accuses Sunak of the whole thing. He accuses him basically of all of the health issues, all of the making money out of us for the health things, all of the business things, the actual whole thing. But what Sunak does is he reads it as he's having a go at him for just the vaccine. Well, actually, what Bridgen has ingeniously done, he's called him out on the whole thing. The whole thing. He's called out Sunak and his corporate pals. He's called them out on the whole thing, but also as Prime Minister of England. the whole testosterone issue, the whole food, diabetes, and, all the vaccines and modern, everything. And what Sunak did is he blatantly disregarded it. He pulled it on to use the COVID model to escape it, and then blagged what we're experiencing here is the most serious matters you can have in the world. And we're having a man who is the Prime Minister of England, who is basically going on television in front of the country, the whole world and nation, and it's meant to be the most serious thing ever. And someone asked him an important, serious question, and he's just coming up with just evasion. And that's in a court that will cost you money. If you wanted to book a mention hearing, even to mention something, let alone to have it heard, to hear you say it, even to mention it, case management, it's costing you money. It's costing you money. If I get charged with a seatbelt fine and I go into court 3 or 4 times, a couple of hearings, I'm racking up thousands of pounds. This is what Robert F. Kennedy says the average person hasn't got £1,000 spare. What Sunak's doing is the Prime Minister of England. We're paying for the electricity on the building. We're paying for the lighting. We're paying for the staff. We're paying for the mace, the furniture, the upholstery. And what Sunak is doing with our money, it's like he's using court time to bluff, blag, evade. But that's what Parliament's turned into, one big blag. So what Sunak's doing is he's using elected time to bluff the country in everything. And then in his businesses is this Tony Blair mechanisms of implementation. He's taking over democracy. He's messing up legal process. He's setting up legal processes within YouTube that evades liability, gives them immunity. They don't have to answer questions. They're feeding us dodgy food. They're putting ridiculous popcorn in the cinemas. Then they're buying those companies, taking them over and owning them all the time while in Parliament. He won't even answer one question. He's pure evil. And this is what Russell Brand is saying. It's this facet of sugarness. Mr. Sweetman, oh yes, I'm Rishi Sunak, I'll give some money to poor people, here's a bacon sandwich. I'm an approachable man, I'm nice to little children, I pat them on the head, I've got a smile, I can do a business shake, we can do a deal, I'll make some widgets, I'm a good man, a man of goodness, here's medicine, here's provisions, I'm building you a sports centre, blah, blah, blah. What he's actually doing is killing us, he's robbing us, he's thieving our money. He's hoarding massive amounts of money in banks. Richie Rich. He's hoarding the world's money. He's collecting money. On eBay, he's renamed everything collectibles. And when you try and search it in, the main suggestions come up to lure you into clicking everything as collectibles. Then you get paid tax on it because, if it's a collectible, surely it's for a collection. Why would you want to use advertisements? Oh, I'm buying some adverts, No, now they're collectible. Everything is collectible, if they want to get tax paid on it. He's redefining the world to a completely new language system. Everything is worded and redeveloped to mean that you don't have any exemptions, you don't have any rights, things are to be paid, rules are to be followed, policies are in place, with no real justice or due process, only their process and no process that anyone would vote for. And then when you try to get a referendum to take some control back, they don't even give you that when you do what is due lawful process of collecting the pound notes, the signatures, the weight of money that will afford you to buy your decision. They don't want... We are common people, and we don't make decisions. We don't interpret laws. Corporate executive does. Now, I am warning Sunak. He has it's treason. I know it's treason. It's treason, not only of England, of the whole planet. And what they're doing is they're taking over the world through cons, trickery, all under the guise of policy. It's all highly illegal. It's subverting the liberties of the realm, and it's a con. He's even taken away his liability to be a claimant. They've even got YouTube claiming policy violations against us that they get no judgments. They're effectively shelf-filed permanently with no discussion or debate, and never had a judgment about them because they won't take it to court. And you can't get your videos back. And then you have to, where you're going to get the money? They've put the prices for solicitors through the roof. No one can afford them. They've got you this CC copyright claims board, but now you never get any copyright claims on YouTube because they let you use content most of the time without any claims being raised. They just, want want you to get monetization. They want the money for it. They're letting people use stuff now and just taking the money for the monetization. The rare disputes now go on to that court website, but you can't really use it for anything useful other than that. What's the point of having a copyright claim if you ain't got a channel up anymore? We're being hijacked, and I would say that it actually was the main actions, the manoeuvres were going on with David Cameron. That's when they were really pulling the levers. They were fleecing us. Never mind Boris Johnson, pretending to shear a sheep. When David Cameron was in, we were in the process of being completely and totally fleeced, because you need a public-owned mail system to have security of mail, in the sense that the right to send a letter. Otherwise, they could just refuse your service, effectively. What right do you have to send a letter through Royal Mail, if they don't want to deliver it? They could easily do that through click and drop. If you've got a certain email account or IP, they could ban you from buying online, if they phase out stamps. We're being fleeced. And we need to know what's in Charles's will. That's what we need to know, and who's in charge of BlackRock Vanguard. But now Charles is, I don't know whether it's a hoax or not, what's happening to him, No one knows. No one knows whether to believe anything anymore. Whether he's, playing rollover like a plane injured or what. We don't know. I know I went across, there's been some very strange things happening with the coffee machine over at the garage. When I went in the other day, this woman went and she'd moved my thing out of the way, and I'm like, well, there's two machines there, why don't you use the other one? She looked at an image of Camilla, and she had this really funny look, and I'm like, who's this, like Milady de Winter being sent or what? There's been quite a few strange things like that happening recently, with the campaign. Because of like the seriousness of the campaign, lots of very strange, odd things going on. I think they like to. I'm convinced. I may be wrong. But there's been some very strange incidents with strange characters popping up here and there who always happen to look like certain people or whatever. I'm sure they send people to mess you around, like that whole thing with that guy, Judge at Manchester, who looked like Peter Fahey. I don't know whether it was him or not, but he damn well bloody well looked like him. So YouTube are once you have actually made a claim official and identified it as a claim and taken action, you are the claimant. You know, you are the claimant. It's not like if you're at work and your boss just doesn't pay you, but he doesn't give no, you just a minute, where's my money? Then you're the claimant, and if there's no reason for it, if they just didn't pay you, they're not even making a claim. They're just, whether it's, professional negligence. A person who commits professional negligence isn't a claimant because he's not actually making a claim against you. He's just going about things as if they're normal, but they're not. It's an error or mistake. He's not actually claiming that he's made an error. He's just incompetent or whatever. It's not a claim. He's going about everything as if it was normal, basically, but it's not normal. He's not even claiming that he's done anything wrong or that anyone's done anything wrong. He's just, if you say, just a minute, what is going on here, then you're claiming that, you're saying that there's something wrong, and YouTube definitely are doing that. What they've done is they've managed to disconnect us. We've had due process stolen somehow. I think Robert F. Kennedy does know this because he kind of like did this this big spaceship picture. Almost like, it's almost like YouTube are kind of like a unidentified flying object that they've now acquired this big entity machinery platform thing that's kind of like doing loads of stuff that is, alien to the Constitution. It's not right. And people know that. People are getting victim. Things are happening to people, and they're flying. We can't get to them. They're in another country. Even if you're in America, I'm sure there's people in America who've got the grievances with them. I don't know what security they've got or what, but we've got problems. What they're doing is they're making massive amounts of claims that are all being shelved and not furthered. And what they're actually doing is they're also seizing evidence. You see, if a claimant makes a claim that through the criminal civil procedure rules, you're making all efforts to resolve it out of court, I don't think what Robert F. Kennedy realises is this, right? The civil procedure rules in England say that you have a claimant. You recognise there is a claimant, there is an issue, and you're trying to resolve it out of court. And if you can't, then, the thing is, YouTube are entering claim. They're also asking you for a response and a counterclaim. Now, that is lawful due process. And they've actually recorded a response. And then what happens if they disagree with you? Your channel gets taken down. Where are my responses? Where are my legal responses to claim? You got nothing. Not only don't you have your videos, not only don't you have your channel, but you don't even have your responses to the claimant as respondent, which that is the matter that has already been raised to claim. So how can I how can I tell the court what responses I made when they're on the system that's been taken down and I can't log into it? I don't think RFK actually, I just don't think that he actually understands the subversion, the perversion of the course of justice. I don't think he understands the grandiose hijacking and mass perversion of what justice is and the course of it. We've got this term. We've got a definition. Perversion of the course of justice. If there ever was it, that is it. Now, is Neil Mohan going to take responsibility, right, as this young, cool, very modern, Ross from Friends character, coffee shop, sit in a chair in front of the world man, pat your kid on the head or whatever. Mr. Sweetman, Coco Melon, he's a criminal. It's perverting the course of justice. Now, he didn't invent the system. This Sergey Brin, Google, we don't know who all of the people are. They're one unit, one operating entity. But he's taking responsibility at the moment. He is the responsible person there who has to answer for these things. And he's not. I believe that this is it's Google have strategized with Biden, with the CIA, with Tony Blair, David Cameron, Nick Clegg, Mark Zuckerberg. They've all conspired, probably with the help of the American courts, but no one gets into court because we can't even get his evidence. They've given us this ccb.com they've given us an online court at the exact time when no one's getting any claims. What they did is they've made it so everyone can pretty much use the material now, so there's no point having claims, and then they're giving you a court, which is stupid. Where's the, disputes against YouTube policy? Apparently it can't be challenged. You broke it, that's it. Rubbish. The claimant isn't even pursuing the claim. And even if he was, they're trying to make out there's nothing that you could possibly argue with it. Well, there is when there's constitutional law, there's political status, there are standing orders from Parliament, there is the fact that your content isn't even what it was claimed to be. They've given a false statement against you anyway, or they're not fulfilling other obligations, therefore they can't be applying policy lawfully and other things, so that they can't be a policy. They're claiming there's a policy when there isn't, because they can't. It's like a fake policy or one that only applies to random people they pick and choose, which that's discrimination. There's also discrimination charges in law as well, felony. So I don't know how the hell they're getting away with it. I just don't think that the dynamic is understood. I don't think people can actually see what they're actually doing. What they're actually doing is they're making a legal claim against you, and they're saying, we even want to get a legal statement from you. They're entering lawful process, which then they shelve. And then they shelve all your responses, so you can't even get them. You submit in a form, unless you save a copy on your computer, but, they're making out that, they're going to give you a chance to respond and enter into a legal process. That legal process is the preliminary of a court. But the claimant doesn't need to go, because not only is he run off with the thing that you're disputing, the videos, he takes legal statements from you that are legally valid in court and then seizes those off you. So he's actually seizing your legal statements from you. And he's giving you a form to make an official legal statement that you can't log into and get. And then if you entered into the computer and you didn't actually make a backup PDF, then you don't even know what statements you were given, because he sees those. What they're doing is, what would you do if your lawyer went around to YouTube with a briefcase and then Neil Mohan took his briefcase off him and locked it in a safe? And then your lawyer says, well, I'm sorry, sir, I can't continue with the case. Why? Because Neil Mohan's just locked my briefcase in YouTube headquarters and he won't give me it back. And we're due in court. Well, you turn up in court, where's all the documents? Well, they're in you. Well, now I can have a mention. Yeah, well, Neil Mohan's got them. He's locked him in the building. Well, I don't believe you. You must be lying. Who would do such a thing? Well, now I'll tell you. I'll tell you. And the claim was false in the first place. Oh, was it? Well, I order him to give you videos back then. Bang the hammer down. That's it. That's it. This is the thing. But it's like the lawyer going round there, and he's just taking the lawyer's briefcase off him. I would like Robert F. Kennedy to explain how, if Robert F. Kennedy goes into YouTube headquarters in a meeting with Neil Mohan, and then Neil Mohan reaches over the desk and takes his briefcase off him and locks it in the freaking YouTube locker, and then kicks him out of the building, how is he going to get his briefcase back? Where's the legal documents?